I'm a recruiter who reviews your resumes. The resume we have up first is an embedded software engineer. So, what we need for an embedded software engineer is the following, and we need those in qualification format, not keyword format. Also, I want to let everybody know I do all types of resumes, but right now the tech market is so most of the resumes given to me are tech, but embedded software is a pretty good market. So if this person is struggling to find a job in the embedded software engineer market, then their resume is probably very, very, very bad. They did not give me any notes about how bad their resume is, and that is something you can tell based on how many applications it takes to get an interview. For every, your goal should be one interview per 50 applications at a minimum. And when people follow my method, they tend to get one interview per 7 applications. So, for an embedded software engineer, we need degree C, Python, TCP, IP, real-time operating systems, RTOS, Agile, microcontrollers, ISO, debugging systems, the type of industry and what you're working on. This is going to be real different because, like, the differences between aerospace and medical devices are going to be extreme. So I want to know what industry you're in and what you're working on in that industry. And then nice to have is all that other good stuff. So recruiters and hiring managers only have 20 seconds to find what we need. So can I find this in 20 seconds? What did they tell me on the note? I'm targeting fully remote jobs. Okay, that is going to be very tough. And I don't know if I should switch from embedded programming to something more general. Well, embedded right now, at least in the US, which I'm judging this on, is a relatively good market. So embedded is your best chance. Although remote, pretty going to be rough. So 20 seconds on the clock. And go. Okay, this formatting is awful. This doesn't matter. Where's your education? Where's your education? There it is. Okay. Computer science. All right. Corpo 1 deployed firmware on ROC across Go. BMS. BIOS from reduced server. Worked in full remote with Agile method. Okay, and time. That is all the time we had, and this is a bad resume. So one, your formatting is atrocious. Also, I want to let people know that my advice does work outside the US. I've gotten people jobs in Canada, Mexico, the UK, the EU, India, and I think Singapore. The only place I've not been able to get people jobs is the Netherlands. So I think everywhere but the Netherlands, my advice works. But yes, this format is bad. So you want your format to look like this. This is in the description below. Please, 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 please have your resume look like this. The only times you don't want to use this particular formatting is when you are a high-level director or you are a job hopper. There is a separate format for those two. But otherwise, this format gets people jobs. And the bullet points, which is actually more important, which we're going to go into. This is how you do it. So the problem I have with this one is this resume is filled to the brim with hot dogs. So what a hot dog in hiring is, well, let me explain that. So I want you to imagine that you are hungry and you go to a restaurant and you're like, I want a cheeseburger with pickles and onions. And the waiter says, cheeseburger, pickles, onions. You say, cheeseburger, pickles, onions. So they go, all right, let me get you a cheeseburger with pickles and onions. So they go to the back. They bring you back a hot dog with cheese, pickles, and onions. And they say, all right, here's your hamburger. And you look at the hot dog and you're like, what is this? And they say, well, a hot dog has meat just like a cheeseburger. A hot dog has buns just like a cheeseburger. A hot dog has cheese, pickles, and onions, sometimes, just like a cheeseburger. So thus, this hot dog is what you wanted. You would look at them like they were insane, and you would leave. And that is the problem I have with this is filled with stuff that is adjacent to what I want. This is filled with stuff that is tangentially implies what I want, but it doesn't directly state it. So first off, again, you don't need this. And when you are making your bullet points, recruiters are not keyword hunting. That is a common misconception. Well, maybe entry-level recruiters are, but people with more than a couple of years of experience are not keyword hunting. And what a keyword is this. This is the stuff that the hiring team needs, right? This is a keyword. The problem is we are qualification hunting, and a qualification is one of these things plus how you used it, plus the reason and result of using it, plus where you used it. That is what we're actually looking for. And a lot of this stuff, you don't tell me what it is. Like, why do I care that you deployed OpenBMC firmware on ARBS ROC servers across data centers using K8? Like, that doesn't matter. Automated firmware updates, again, not something I'm looking for. That's that is a hot dog. Collaborated with teams, again, not what I need. Worked in full remote with Agile, that is something I need. Code on GitHub, something I need. And Jira. Do I need Jira? I don't think I need Jira, but the other two are needed. The problem is you can't just say worked in full remote. You have to show me how you did what you did and the reason and results. So worked in full remote teams with Agile and code on GitHub is a keyword, but it is not a qualification. So that sentence does not count. I prefer you say, worked in a fully remote Agile environment using GitHub and tickets to X and Y so that our company could Z and D. All right. And then here, maintained Corpo 7 Acoustic. Again, none of this is what I'm looking for. This is nothing I want. Improved process with a TCP stack. There we go. That's actually the first thing that I actually want besides Agile. An HTTP interface recording from the internet can be downloaded. Okay, so again, this is way too complicated. You filled this with a bunch of hot dogs, and I need you to be very, 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 very specific about what is in your bullet points. You need to tell me what, which is the TCP IP. You need to tell me how, which you did, and then you need to tell me the reason and result that's not a number. You don't want to use numbers for the reason results. And the problem with this is, to use the hot dog and hamburger metaphor again, is you gave me a hamburger, right? A TCP is a hamburger. But the problem is, you've kind of, when I wanted a hamburger with cheese and pickles and onions and blah, 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 you filled this with so much ketchup. This is so much ketchup that I can't even taste what I actually wanted, which is the hamburger itself. So I need you to simplify this because there's a bunch of unnecessary stuff. Set up a CID pipeline. I don't think I really care about that. Maintain C, C++ firmware and a system-on-chip microcontroller, reducing past tense, even if you're still there, which you're not. Release times. Again, I need the reason and result that can't be a number. The how and the what is this good. So the problem with this resume is A, just filled with way too many hot dogs, and B, even though you do have some hamburgers, you do not tell me the reason and result of you doing it. That is not a number. You cannot have a number. So this is why you are struggling to get roles, especially remote, and remote roles are highly competitive. I don't think people understand how difficult it is to get a remote role. This is not the pandemic. This is not the pandemic. It is incredibly difficult to get a remote role. Incredibly difficult. So normally my advice gets people a 1 in 7. For fully remote roles, it's a 1 in 30. That's about the average, and that is fantastic because your competition is everywhere. So that is all I can do for this resume. It is not, man, if they actually can dig down, they may move you forward because of how hot this industry is, but I don't know if they're actually going to be able to see it because the most relevant experience is all the way down in 2022. So that's all I can do for this resume. I just want to thank you all for liking, commenting, subscribing, and thank you very much for sharing this video with everybody. I appreciate it. And if you ever need more help, you can join my live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. PST on both YouTube and Twitch at twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter. And I wanted to give a special thanks to my members who are supporting this channel. They get access to videos a little bit early. Thank you very much for supporting me. I really appreciate it. If anybody else wanted to be a member, they can join in the link below. But let's go to the next resume. This is a resume of a data analyst, which I think is the second most popular resume that I get. So for a data analyst, what we need is degree, industry, SQL, data visualization, Tableau, Power BI, Looker, influencing stakeholders, explaining technical concepts to non-technical stakeholders, how you solved a problem with data, not what the data is. Almost every single data analyst tells me how they got the data, and nobody cares how you got the data. They just care what the data is. MS Excel, macros, pivot tables, VLOOKUP, Word, ETL, Python, R, multiple projects, and deadlines. And despite being a data analyst, I do not want to see numbers that are not your contact information and dates of employment. The more numbers you have in your bullet points, the worse your resume is going to be. Again, dates of employment, education, phone number, those are acceptable, but when it's in here, it's bad. So this person says they have 150 to 1, which is very bad ratio, even for an international. For internationals, I usually get them a 1 in 30 to a 1 in 100 for data analysts. So that's the ratio I get them. So 20 seconds on the clock. Let's see what we can and cannot find, but I'm expecting not to find it. And go. Degree, good. Formatting's pretty good. Good. I don't know. Okay. Use SQL, Excel, pivot tables, VLOOKUP, macros. Good. To analyze loan approval bottlenecks across. I don't care about that. And why does it matter that you reduced average loan turnaround time? Performed EDA, what's that? Don't care. Pandas, NumPy is fine. On branch sales and operational data to identify revenue leakage. Why? Okay, which too complicated. And created Power BI dashboards. Okay, so time. This is not the worst ever, but again, if based on this fact, I'm assuming they need immigration services, which is not gonna be great. So formatting wise, this is mostly perfect. I don't really have any notes, but bullet point wise, we need to make this better. So use SQL, Excel, and macros is good. The problem is each bullet point needs 3 keywords minimum. This only has 2, which is SQL and Excel. This has Python, which is 1. This has Power BI dashboards, which is 1. This has MS Office, PowerPoint, and Visio, which is none. Maybe I can count MS Office for Word. So here, Agile Scrum, which is, again, a nice to have. So this doesn't actually have anything. So my problem with this one is, again, I need more keywords, which is shocking. Normally, so I need more keywords in each sentence, and I need you to write this better, because use SQL, Excel to analyze loan approval bottlenecks. Okay, good. That tells me what you did and how you do it. Across, I don't care about this number. In fact, the entire across doesn't really matter. But the point is, I need to know why. And why was it important to reduce average loan turnaround time? What was the business importance of that? And the answer is, I don't know. You didn't tell me. So I need a little bit more detail here to give context to this. So this part doesn't matter, but this part needs more. And then performed EDA. What's EDA? Why do I care about EDA? I don't know. You didn't tell me. Using Python. Again, good. Pandas and NumPy, that's a nice to have. That's AI. On branch sales and operational data to identify revenue leakage. What's revenue leakage? I don't know what that is. Across underperforming regions, improving our profitability. Again, I don't care about by percentage, but you can say improving our profitability. But I need more, because the only thing I have here is Python. Extra credit is extra credit. It does not fully count for your grade. Created Power BI to... this one's okay. So this one's okay, but I still need more. But the problem is, here, I'm going to remove what I found, which is good. So we found SQL, and the sentence is kind of mid, but we still found it. We found Excel, good. We have Python, and I'm counting that as R. We have Power BI here at data visualization. Although I would prefer you say created data visualization dashboards, parentheses, Power BI. That's how you need to write that. The problem is, so you have degree. And do we have industry? I don't have industry. So I'm putting industry back up. But I need 75% of this stuff to move you forward, and I don't see industry. I don't see influencing stakeholders. I don't see explaining technical concepts to non-technical stakeholders. I do see how you solved a problem with data, right? And again, I'm being generous in counting word, but I don't see ETL and I don't see multiple projects and deadlines. And that's not 75%. And especially if you need a visa, you're going to need more than 75%. The average is for most people 75%. If you need a visa, you're going to need about 85%. And I need to see that you influence stakeholders and explain technical concepts to non-technical people. That is critical. If I do not see that, I cannot really move you forward. That is a very, very, very important bullet point that needs to be there. So your problem is your bullet points are not great, and my smoke alarm might go, but yeah, we need better bullet points. So cutting this one before the smoke alarm happens. Next video. This is a resume of a full stack software engineer. So for a full stack software engineer, what we need is degree, TypeScript, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, React or React.js, Node.js, Angular, Next.js, SQL, NoSQL, RESTful API, REST API, Cloud, any of them is fine, CI/CD, Git, .NET or Python or Java, and bonus points for all that stuff. And if I do not see a TypeScript, JavaScript, HTML, CSS in the first sentence, it's probably going to be a no. Almost every single job description that requires full stack requires those four things. You can get away with not having TypeScript by having another backend language, but ideally you want TypeScript. So this person's resume is, I don't know yet, they say, I've been struggling to get interviews for a while now and I came across your content. I rewrote my resume. Okay, so this is a new version and haven't tested it out, but my previous resume had 0 interviews across 8 months. I'm hoping this one would at least get me 1 interview out of 100 applications. I'm only applying to roles in the US for full stack and front end development roles. Those are 2 separate things. The resume that gets you a full stack job will not get you a front end job. I know that sounds insane, but it's not. Do you think I should have 2 separate resumes for each thing? Yes, you want 1 for front end, 1 for full stack. Do not combine them. You never want to combine resumes. Resumes need to be tailored to a specific job title. So let's see what it's going to be. And where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? There it is. 20 seconds on the clock. And go. Okay. Certificate. Okay. Communicate directly with clients to build full applications in TypeScript React. That, okay. Used Git for version control, Docker for environments, Git for deployed action. No. Built full e-commerce storefront, qualified client inventory through Shopify. Man, built RESTful SQL, PostgreSQL. Okay, yeah, this would not work. So remember, we're not looking for keywords because this resume has all of the keywords. It doesn't have the qualifications. Qualification is keyword plus how plus why plus where. And you do not have the how and the why. Now, I will say, as you do not have a CS degree, your chances are going to be less. That doesn't mean you can't get a job, but a CS degree is very, 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 very looked. Well, people with CS degrees are struggling. Full self-taught devs are not looked upon as favorably as CS grads in this market. It used to be that you could be a self-taught dev like 5, 8, 10 years ago, but right now it's very difficult to get a role as a self-taught dev. So what we're looking for, and the problem is communicate directly with clients. Okay, that's not really, it's not bad, but it's not really what I'm looking for. It's kind of a hot dog. To build full stack applications using, again, keywords are correct, to take projects. The problem is I need to know what those are. So I'd rather you say built applications using TypeScript, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and React for our clients, such as from 0 to 1. Right? Because I don't know what these clients are. And this is why this doesn't work, is what clients are these? I don't know. You didn't tell me. Then used Git for version control, Docker for environment, and GitHub Actions for CDB deploy applications. Again, you don't tell me the reason and result. I need the business reason you did this. I don't want to say to deploy to AWS. I want to know, why did you do that? Why did you do that instead of not doing it? I don't know. You didn't tell me. Built a full e-commerce storefront. I don't know why you need to say full. You can say built a e-commerce storefront, which is good. That's actually very good. It tells me what it is. queried and displayed client inventory, and then the rest of this I don't care. Because remember, I don't care necessarily how you did it as much. I just want to know the what. Like, this is so hard to explain. I don't want to see any of these because none of these really matter. GraphQL is nice to have. Like, this is a bunch of bonuses. I don't care about Tailwind. I do care about Next.js. I don't care about API. I only care about RESTful API. There's a reason I put REST or RESTful API, no other API. That is what you want. The problem is built a full e-commerce storefront, and then this part is irrelevant. I'd rather you just said built an e-commerce storefront using SQL, GraphQL, and Next.js and Tailwind, not Tailwind, and whatever else. So, in fact, I actually think you need to combine this. I think these should be combined. These should be combined. And then we go down here, built RESTful SQL. I don't need RESTful SQL. I need SQL, right? So Postgre is fine. APIs. See, you wrote it so poorly. I don't want to see... There's a reason I wrote it like this. You cannot just put RESTful SQL Postgre APIs. You need to say built using RESTful APIs, Postgre SQLs, and Node.js and Express to manage a client's commission requests and that. But why did you manage this? I don't know. You didn't tell me. So this is a resume that has all the keywords, but none of the qualifications. And that's part of the problem with it, is you really need to give me the how and the business why. Because if you do not do the how and the business why, you're going to get rejected. Next resume. This is a resume of a data analyst. So this is the second time we've done one, so I don't need to go over these keywords again. This person said this is only for India roles, and my advice does work in India, although it's like instead of being 100% effective, it's like 92% effective. So it should still work, but there may be some slight differences just because I cannot be in every single market. I am a US-based recruiter. So 20 seconds on the clock. Let's see if they have what is brain stopped working. Let's see if this is a good or bad resume. In fact, is it? Let me read what they wrote. No, because it's over 150 applications to one. So this is a bad resume. So 20 seconds on the clock. Let's see what we've got and go. Okay, this doesn't entirely matter because you have data analyst. Solved SLA delays. What is SLA? I actually know that. Business problems with the SQL star schema dashboards by building that flagged at risk enable leadership. That's like so complicated way of saying that. Influence stakeholder across by 7 sectors by trying to complex technical assignments. This is narratives and Python and time. Yeah, this is not good. So first off, the first thing I want to state is open to relocation and remote is you never want to say. Now, I don't know if this is the same in India, but in the United States, at least, you never want to put open to relocation or remote. What you want to put instead is moving to X by Y date, can move earlier if needed. If the role's remote, you don't need to do that. But putting open to relo is kind of like a giant yellow flag. You need to state that you are living in the same area. So is that the same in India? I don't actually know. I'm going to make the assumption that it is, but I could be incorrect. Second, you don't need to tell me your years of experience here. Your first job as a data analyst, you do not need a summary. So this can be safely deleted. Does not matter. Third, went a little overzealous there. I don't need this because you have it in your first job. Again, I don't know what that means by hacker rank. It's not related. So already we're saving space. Second off, nothing in your resume should be bolded with the exception of this, this, and this. So stop bolding everything in your resume. Nothing here should be bolded. Then we go to here, and what do you mean solved SLA? They may not know what that means. It should mean service level agreements, but they may not know what that means. So instead of solved SLA, you can just say solved business delays. But also, like, how did you solve that? Okay, I want you to say instead, built. This is so confusing, actually. Like, this is my problem with this. It's such a confusing sentence, is that it's not AI. I don't actually believe this is AI, but it's so chaotic. So, like, I don't care about CTEs. I care about SQL, but you already have it up there, so I don't need to do that. I don't care about star schema. I do care about Power BI dashboards. I don't care about the number of projects. I do care. Here we go. This is already a little bit better. Enabling leadership and data resource allocation systems. So built Power BI dashboards using SQL that allowed our leadership to make data-driven allocation decisions. And then I want a little bit more. Why does it matter that they made allocation decisions? I don't know. You didn't tell me. And then I need another keyword here because you only have two, which is SQL and Power BI. Where's Excel? I don't know. You need Excel, at least in the US. If you don't have Excel, you're not moving forward. Then influence stakeholders. Okay, that's starting off okay. Depends on how. Across 7 sectors. I don't care about the 7. By translating complex technical insights, good. I don't care about the actual insights. I just care that you say you did it. So none of that matters. Into actionable narratives that drove relocation of 12 consultants and prevented. Here's where you lose me. This is way too technical. What is this? I don't know. You didn't tell me. 12 consultants. Again, I don't know if the number matters. So you told me the what. You told me the how. You did not really tell me a understandable reason result. And again, I need more keywords in this. You want a minimum of 3 per bullet point. This has 1, which is actually this has 2. You influence stakeholders and explain complex. So I need 1 more here to make it good. Automated reporting using Python ETL processes and live SQL. You already mentioned SQL earlier in the same job. You don't need to mention it twice in the same job. To generate, again, this is an okay explanation, but again, you need more. Because, like, I don't see anything involving Excel. I don't see, let's see, multiple projects. I don't see deadlines. And I don't see data visualization. I see Power BI, but I need you to say data visualization. I also don't see your industry. So these are the things that are hurting your chances. Now, let me read what you wrote. Because I should have read that. Apply to around 5,000 jobs in the past 4 years and haven't landed a quality role in tech. So you have been getting interviews, just not really the ones you wanted. I was only able to land call center jobs, which is toxic. Yeah, yeah, they are. Oh, man. Here's the format I used. I'm currently working, let's see, guy with 2-year gap. So, yeah. That is the biggest problem. And again, don't say self-led project. You can just say projects, right? Projects is fine. So my big issue here is just that, also, if you have a project, you don't need to tell me the date. Projects are projects. If you were paid for it or it's an internship, then you tell me the dates, but I don't need that. So this is what I have a problem with here is you don't tell me enough keywords. And in most of these sentences, you don't really tell me the reason correctly, and you fill it with a bunch of hot dogs. So you need to pare this down. You need to remove you need to remove the hot dogs, and you need to add more hamburgers. Next, resume. This is a resume of a full stack software developer. So I don't need to go over this again because we did it. They said, thank you for providing feedback on my previous resume. I'm sharing my resume for the 3rd time and have made the changes based on what you ask. Rewrote the second bullet, moved AWS and Python to first, maintained up to 6 keywords per bullet point. Yep, 3 to 6, minimum 3, maximum of 6. I would really appreciate if you review the update and let me know if it's aligned. Thank you again. Let's find out. 20 seconds on the clock. And go. Okay, MS good. Built features using React, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and Python for a learning management system. Good. With AWS, helping students, faculty, navigate courses. Perfect. Connected GraphQL APIs with PostgreSQL using TypeScript, Node.js, and Next.js to fetch enrollment data. Okay, good. Design the integration for an OpenAI structure. Okay. Developed features using Angular type for an enterprise application. Enable customer workflow. Configured CI/CD pipelines in Jenkins. Okay, this is good. This is better. There are some slight tweaks. Now remember, I'm being hypercritical on this because this is the 3rd time. So I like this, but I don't want to just say built features. I think you can just safely say built a website or built a whatever using, and then I want you to start with TypeScript, okay? If possible, I want you to start with TypeScript, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Python. Let's see, that's 4, 5, 6. Let's put React. Let's do Python and should we actually do this? I get why you did this. This is actually pretty good. Let's see. Now we're actually into really tweaking this. Should TypeScript go up here? Yes, I think it should. We need JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Python, and AWS. Weirdly enough, I think React can go in the second bullet point, so I would replace TypeScript with React here. And then otherwise that is good. And I don't want to just say built features. I want to say built a web page, built a learning management system, which again, that's pretty long, so I see why you did that. But otherwise that's okay. And then we go here, which is, remember, I need RESTful APIs or REST APIs. I don't want GraphQL APIs. So I want a little bit more there. And I'd rather you started it with, let's see, fetched enrollment data using Node.js, Next.js, PostgreSQL, and GraphQL to can do whatever for the student. All right, and then OpenAI Tutor awareness. The problem is there's only one thing here that is relevant, so I'm gonna need at least more things here. Like this would be a good place to put in maybe Angular or CI/CD. Otherwise, leave it. This sentence is almost blank. Like the OpenAI Tutor is fine, but I need more, right? Like it's not fine. I need more. So this only has one of them that I need. And then here, this is good. I don't actually have any real notes with this. I think normally I would say this is good to keep your CI/CD down here. The problem is you don't have it here, so you may want to put the CI/CD pipelines and Git in the first sentence so that they see it. So my big issue here is you have two pretty good sentences and a third that is just very mid. Like I would like more. I would like you to put in CI/CD or Git there if possible. I would like you to put RESTful APIs. They've got to be RESTful or REST. That is what I'm looking for. Maybe Angular, put it up there. But other than that, this is better. It's just I need something for this third bullet point because not everybody counts international experience as experience. There are some hiring managers that they will not even look past this. They will see this and they will not move past it because they say, well, that's not provable, or that's in another country, or that was prior. So you really want to make sure we hit as much stuff as we can here. So that's all I can do for this resume. Overall, this would probably pass. It's just, you know, they're an international, so their ratio is going to be really, really tough. But thank you all for watching, liking, commenting, subscribing. I appreciate it. Thank you for, you know, sharing this video. And if you ever need more help, you can join my live stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 a.m. PST on both YouTube and Twitch, twitch.tv/headlessheadhunter. And to my members who get access to videos a little bit early, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. If anybody wants to join, you can join in the link below to be a member. But that is it for this video, so I will see you all in the next video to help you get ahead of your job search. Later.